Hey everybody, how you doing? I think I've got it going on today. We've had some technical things lately, which I think is some things, getting old. We have some lights that kind of failed, but everything seems to be okay. We got a replacement light today. I'm gonna actually see if I can replace the switch on it at some point here, because they're not cheap, and I'd like to have a backup. That's kind of the craziness. I want to thank. We just had a follow, and I don't remember what it was. I can find it. But I appreciate you following us. We definitely can use it. It was not Spielblog. Oh, Dude Flory. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today, and thanks for following. I'm going to be painting. I was painting a bunch of stuff. Well, some things between last Tuesday and this Thursday. So I really haven't done that much as I would like to do. But we've been busy. We had filming this weekend, both days, which was challenging. And then we will be filming probably again this weekend with Dave. We had Dave over for a little bit on Sunday. But it's exciting. We have some people, folks coming back who've been away. Dave will be away again, which is okay. He needs to take care of his mom. But we're doing pretty good. I was trying to use this, I have a bottle of Daler Rowney acrylic ink, and the pigment, man, white pigment, you must shake these bottles more. So I have to work on this. It still seems like it's okay, but it'll take a ton of shaking to get it to smooth out, because I'm going to use it through my airbrush. It's a great highlighter, and I would like to do some airbrush highlights on top of painted stuff already. So that was what I was going to do. Let me cut to the table and show you where I'm at. I'm not set for that angle yet, but I'm really happy that things seem to be working. The only thing is we use a music software that's a website that we pay for, and they're fine. They're actually have great stuff, but the software that we use to do the live streaming, we pay an annual fee. It's not cheap. And something's wrong where they have their own iteration of Chrome, and it's kind of messed us up. Let's see here. Okay, so I was painting She-Hulk. Looks pretty good. They're somewhat consistent. I think this is the rattle can one. And ultimately, I need to work on the highlights. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I was really kind of rough. Maybe the paint's not thin enough, but I was thinning it to try to do it. And I just was like, why am I not getting the smoother lines that I normally get when I'm just edge highlighting? But I will knock these down anyway. I will probably put a wash over that. This one turned out nice, though. The skin isn't quite as smooth, but they're all pretty great looking. I got some more something to do on the boots. I'm not really sure, so I'll probably do that today. But they're great. They're pretty cool looking, and it's fun doing 3 at a time. Now those took me a little bit more time. I'm not certain exactly what it was. I maybe just dealing with the purple on the edge of her, on the sides of her bodysuit. And I did a terrible job of. I primed 2 of these. And I didn't really clean the mold lines very well, which is disappointing. Again, I have this weird thing where if it's assembled, I think it's already cleaned, because I do that whenever I paint minis. So we'll hopefully finish She-Hulk. I was also thinking about using that ink on this one. This is one that Scott primed with the rattle can, and it's a little too dark in the face. So I want to go in and airbrush it, and I might do it on the stream. I generally am not a huge fan of doing that, only because number one, it's noisy. Number two, I have a small compressor that's not terribly loud. If I stick it under their desk, it'd probably be fine. But I just don't want to get it on the lenses. We don't have a screen on the, a lens cover, not a lens cover, goodness gracious, what are they called? Well, anyway, a filter. It's a filter, but I would want one that's just like polarizing filter, which wouldn't affect anything. Hey, Jack Dempsey, how you doing? So yeah, that's the goal today. I'm gonna switch my glasses here. I painted it actually some yesterday. I probably did the bulk of the She-Hulk stuff yesterday, which was great. I don't really get the opportunity to paint in as much as I'd like, but I'm trying to do it more. I want to finish. I'd like to finish phase 1 in the next month or so, and I think I can do that because Scott has done a bunch of his already, and then I've done a bunch of. I'm doing some catch up from the ones that Scott, you know, between the 3 sets. Mine is the most complete. I actually have not that many more minis to do for phase 1 for me. It's too bad I wasn't doing the others, but I'm excited. I had a friend that I'm doing, one of the people I'm doing it for is like, are you having fun with it? I mean, I love it. I just wish I had more time to paint. But I'm going to set up my, I have a little tray, which I don't even know where it's at, that you can carry it in, and I'm going to put that together to take paint in the house and when I'm with Nikki, because when my mom's visiting on the weekends, she's usually here. I don't want to come out here and not have her hang out with my mom. She's getting older and it's rough. Have you ever considered popping into the weekly album? I have gone in there occasionally. Aldi's in there all the time. I've gone in there. It's fine. I vented on. What were we talking about? I think we were talking about Force Awakens, and I don't hate that movie. I like it more than I did originally, but it was funny, and I think they took that one down not because of me. There was some other things going on there. They generally don't, it's pretty uncensored and stuff like that. But I just had gone to see it and was a little frustrated. I think that was the one. It could have been the last one too, which was not my favorite at all. But I don't recall. And my thing is usually they do it on Wednesday, and Wednesday is when I'm getting our episode ready. So it's a challenge, and I hate to. I mean, I actually listen to them when I'm working on the episode. Usually it's just a lot of social media and the thumbnails. If I'm editing, which I should not be doing Wednesday night, or reviewing the edit or editing, I definitely can't do it. I can't focus on, I have to listen to the audio and what we're filming. This week we did Fromage, which I really like. It's a great game and not terribly complicated. It's a worker placement that somebody commented on the video that he felt was fiddly, and I'm like, not really. I mean, I can understand a little bit of that. I don't remember. He was commenting that Nikki said that. That wasn't my takeaway from what Nikki said, but it might be. I might not have really paid attention. Not to say that I don't pay attention, but I'm always nervous when we're filming. But I think they did. I think it was a good one. Man, this stuff is just, I'm going to have to really shake it. Hey, I notice foam is going down near the bottom now, so I think I've got some of that pigment suspended, but I got a lot of work to get it all suspended and smoothed out, so I'm going to work on that off camera. So maybe I won't be using that today on camera. Oh man, Fromage is great, Jack. It's, it's a relatively, I mean, if you watch the video, it's 20 some minutes of teach. Nikki was going over a lot of stuff, and then 30 minutes of play, maybe. And it's cool. You just got to know what you're doing, which isn't too hard, but you have a little bit of first time figuring it out issues, which I always end up, not always, but occasionally have. But we really like that game. I think it's one of the more interesting ones releases recently. Let's see here. So I need to look at her boots. They're white. Well, you know what I might do? I might just wash them. So I might do I should zoom this in a little bit more. I might do a wash with some of the gray that I love, the Basilicanum gray. I wonder if that's, I have my little bottle thing here, inverted bottle, and it's a little bit of water going through, and it might mean that the stopper at the bottom of the thing is leaking. I had it doing it a lot the other day. Yeah, I mean, it's a good green, and she looks good. I mean, I really think that mini, come on, focus. Not enough hand in here. There we go. I think it's really cool. This was a mix of two greens I used. As a matter of fact, I might as well tell you, because I used, I think, the only green I had, or one of the only greens I had at the time, when I did Hulk. But I'm like, oh, she's a lady, and maybe your skin would be a little lighter and stuff like that. So I mixed these two colors. This is Gut Ripper Flesh Contrast. It's got a lot of pigment in it. It took a long time to get it to mix up. And then a few drops of the, I think it was like 9 drops of this, because I was mixing it for all of these, so it was a 3-to-1. 9 drops of this and 3 drops of this to give me that color. But I was real happy with it, because I wanted kind of the coating ability of that pigment with the some of the bright green from the other one. Turned out great. It is She-Hulk, yes. Hey, Circe. Let's see. Get this mixed up. But yeah, I really want to paint more. I'm kind of, and we aren't traveling quite as much so far this year. We don't have anything scheduled till March, which is great because we really have a lot to do still. We need to, we always need to keep ahead on the episodes, and we sort of have been for a while now. We're having extras in the can, but not enough. We need more. I need more edited ones. I need more actually rendered out and ready to go ones. It's not pronounced Circe. I wonder how you pronounce that. Is that how it is in Game of Thrones? I did not watch Game of Thrones. Nikki did, but I didn't care. I think I watched the Game of Thrones. This is on YouTube, chat. I think I watched, there was like a dragon attack on the train, which was, I think, a bunch of carts that, you know, were moving. And that was about it. I mean, they're bright lights, but I put them, you know, this is the thing about my color scheme with doing the Zenithal version of this stuff, is that it, you end up having milder colors, you know, like darker colors, but I actually don't mind it. I like the crazy comic book brightness too, and this is kind of that. I mean, these faces were not that white. You know, the undercoating was not that white, but they turned out great. Sometimes it turns out great, and sometimes it's a little too dark, you know. Let's see, I think I have, Electra had some issues. She looks good. Wish it would focus. So they're all different. They were all primed. So this was Scott's, and it was too dark, and I just hand painted it white, and it turned out okay. I tried to do it thin. It still comes out sort of chalky, and I probably should have used a gray. Ultimately, using straight white is not ideal, but I actually like the Mini. I think it looks great. I like her face being brighter. I just wish it was a little less splotchy, sort of. But these turned out great as well. They're different, but good. So yeah, I always give the better one. I mean, I'm giving Scott his primed one so it matches his Phase 1 stuff, because I think he primed everything. He was actually really good. I have only recently started priming them. Thanks, Jack. I really do like painting them. It's really fun, and they turn out really cool. So I'm going to put a little bit of contrast medium, and I'm just going to lightly tint the boots. I mean, I could use Nuln Oil, but I actually like using the Basilicanum Gray. There's a tie-in. And what's going to happen here is maybe I'll paint the ground first. I do everything kind of gray. Occasionally I'll pop out little details, you know, with some color that's interesting stuff, but it's mostly, if it's just like rubble, I just do it gray. I don't really want to distract from the Mini itself. So, But what I am going to do is, I think I could just make it, I don't know, we'll see here, because I kind of want the boots to maybe be slightly darker. So what I'll probably do is the ground first, and then put just a drop or so of the paint back in to bring it back up, darken it up a little bit. I don't really, you know, the funny thing is we watched, and I know some of this is, well, this is why I'm getting white on my hands. It's the napkin, the paper towel. You know, I should be using, I have a Swedish sponge next to me, which is way better than using paper towels. Just it goes, I can reuse it, and it works out great. So I've been talking about my palette recently, and I have been taking it, let me put this away so I don't knock it down. And this is, now I don't go crazy on my palette. I'm usually working in one corner because I'm not doing as many colors as I would like to do. But this is at least the 10th run of this paper. You can see there's some dark stuff there from working, and there's a little blue. But I really like this red grass stuff. This is their hydration membrane. Is that what it's called? I keep talking about it. Hydration membrane, yeah. So this came with the wet palette. I mean, it came with some, I think it gives you one, and I ordered an extra one. I will probably order some more, but they do last a long time. But I just, as soon as I'm done, I wipe it down, pull the paper off and let it dry, and then I squeeze the moisture out of the sponge and let it dry so there's no, because I was having mildew on, I wonder if I have that sitting here somewhere. And I was kind of frustrated because I cleaned it, did what they said, and I realized keeping it any longer than the day you use it is just not worth it. It just keeps it working for the day that you're working so that you have paint that stays moist for that amount of time. It's pretty great. And that's the way I really think you should do it. Non-painters would love to see those. Well, we're going to try to do, so the real goal is we want to try to do another game night with the third phase minis. I wanted to do I had Spider-Man, I painted them all up, and we may use some of those miniatures. I think what we're going to do is let people choose some characters, because ultimately they do have different capabilities, and it's amazing with the small amount of variables that they do kind of sometimes they feel like the character, you know, it's surprising. I do wish these were in dropper bottles, but I don't want to transfer them, and it's just more wasted plastic. I mean, I might as well exploit the plastic while I have it, but it is a bummer. Oh, excuse me. I'm gonna cough, maybe. So yeah, getting it into to mix in the little fidget popper. I saw at Essen a new not a fidget popper, a new palette that's made like this from Games Workshop that was like a, you know, skull servitor or whatever. Looked kind of cool. I don't think that's going to be light enough. Let's try it on something. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. We'll do it on her boots, and maybe if it's not dark enough, then I'll do it again. Darken it back up. Let me put it on. So I painted the rim, which I don't normally do. I wait till I'm done, but I just was like, well, I got black paint out. Let's just do it. Yeah, I have some of that. I watch Vince V here. I bought exactly the ones using his affiliate links. These are great. I use these to, I believe that's what he said, is that you use it to lower the amount of paint in your palette without it absorbing too much. And those are great. That is too dark. So maybe I want them to be lighter on the boots than the ground. Let's see what the ground looks like. It's pretty dark, but I can do that on this one. It's okay to, for me, I feel like it's good to have a little bit of variety on the intensity. So I actually should not be using this brush. This is a decent brush. I usually use some of the more beat up brushes. for like doing this kind of stuff, because it's mild, right? You're not really, you don't need detail, you don't need a super point. But I like Vince Venturella. I've been watching him for years. His hobby cheating videos are great. He's in the 500s or 400s. I think he's in the 400s. It's, I'm really happy that he's actually starting to get the viewers, because he didn't have a lot of viewers. Now his production quality hasn't really changed that much, but it's still just what you need. Although he's been doing this freeze frame thing, which I do not love. But I get it, he doesn't have enough footage while he's talking about the amount of information he's giving you, so it's fine. But I was like, what? The first 2 times I saw it, it kept going, oh, is it locked? And I'm like, no. Because he's talking, how would the video stop? Unless it was on his end, which it is, but he's doing it on purpose. But I'm real happy he's getting the views, because he is really talented and interesting. And, you know, he shares the information he gets, and that he's learning, you know. Everybody's learning when you're painting stuff. It's funny whenever I realize something else, you know, I don't know that, I've been painting before there was YouTube, so, but YouTube has really been passing along a lot of great information. There's a pretty great video from Miniac where he's talking about the studio, like the streaming setup, that they don't even really use anymore. But his realization, you know, the expense of it, I mean, that's why I don't recommend spending that kind of money. We reuse instruments. I'm using the same cameras and lenses between our setups, because it's, you know, I get it, you want to leave it set up and have it go, but I don't think it's worth it in that regard. Lenses are expensive, and to commit that much, because, you know, we stream on Twitch and YouTube. YouTube's a little better for us because it does go out to our audience, whereas Twitch, I don't really know. The notifications have changed. Now, not everybody's going to watch everything we do, or anything necessarily, once they've subscribed and maybe moved on. Okay, so let's just do all 3 of those first. I saw I might have seen that one, Jack. I watched the one where Sam Lins taught him to paint his way. Like the whole day, the whole point was they were going to spend 3 days painting the way Sam paints, which Sam is, you know, obviously a great painter. And so I think Vince Venturella is great too. I mean, his stuff looks nice. So the 2 of them was kind of cool to see. But yeah, I watched that today. I hadn't watched Vince for a couple weeks, so I generally catch up on all the stuff. So I've known Adam Smasher, Adam Loper for a while now, and his was the first. I mean, he's doing something, kind of changed his approach a little bit, but he's talking about games more and stuff like that, more than the painting. But I was actually the one that convinced him to do his paint streams. He was streaming video games. I'm like, this was during the pandemic. I'm like, why don't you just do that too? And so he's been on the front page. You know, we actually schedule content creators on our front page, and he's been on there since the beginning, because I'm like, we'll put you on the front page. It's stuff that I want to encourage people to paint their miniatures. And so he's been doing good. I am not as diligent and fast of a painter as he is. I'm getting better. Oof, right on her knee. So this absorbs the paint differently, this rattle can. I say it all the time, I'm not sure what the deal is. I don't know if Scott painted it in the cold or the humid. He did paint them in his garage, so I would, and it wasn't conditioned at the time, but like when it's warm and stuff like that, it shouldn't be a problem, and it wouldn't be as humid. Well, it would be humid if it was really humid. But yeah, so I got into Vince probably around the same time, maybe before Adam. But I really do like what Adam covers, and it's interesting. And I watched Miniac since he was a baby channel, and I watched John, and the one that really blows me away at how successful he's been is Midwinter Minis. I've been watching it since he had like a couple thousand subscribers, but he's really doing well, and he's not necessarily technique-wise my favorite, but he's interesting, and I also like that he does his own music. So does Rogue Hobbies, I think. She does her own music as well, which is really cool. So what you can do, like I put too much in there, you can wick the paint out with the brush as long as it doesn't have as much, it has less paint than you're trying to pick up. Let's see if I can get that. It's a little too... Looks cool. I've completed more than 100 by a long shot, I think, because I've mostly done all of mine, plus some of each, except for the newest ones we got a few months back, Marvel United. Multiverse, I think is the name of that set. And I've been trying to... I would like to try to get to that. I want to do the base set of that. And maybe, you know, we have the giant Galactus that would be fun too. But it's got... I know Nikki would like to play Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. So Jack, this is not really a wash. I mean, I've turned the contrast paint into a wash, but I like it because it lets me adjust the intensity because it's almost a black, right? This gray's got a lot of black in it. I do have, today I'm using the regular wash. Sometimes I just use the one that I messed up. So this was one I spilled, and you notice there's no pigment at the bottom. Somehow, there's not a lot left, but somehow when I spilled it, basically all of the pigment, or most of it, came out. And so it doesn't work quite the way, but it's still a good wash. But today I'm using this one because I want to use it for two different things. For the contrast aspect here on the boots when I get to that, and the ground. So they had like a purple kind of, I don't really quite understand what was going on. I almost did it, but I thought, well, you know what, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what they're doing, and but it looked kind of nice. Now, if I had done it before, so I could come back and do it with an airbrush. Spraying contrast paints is actually pretty great through an airbrush. Getting my head in the shot here. Not helping. I've contemplated changing the camera angle for that, but I probably could. Might even be actually easier to change the camera for that because it's suspended from above, but it works pretty good, and all I have to do is tilt it, and it's, when I'm looking at it in a pretty good angle, it's good for the camera too. So, okay, well that's all of the medium I need for the for the ground. Let's do, or the wash, sort of. I just knocked them all down. I have not played Star Trek Captain's Chair yet. They don't have any, these for this game, the figures are basically just pawns. So it's really silly, but I love them. Believe me, I think they're fun. I do wish they were a little better plastic, but it's probably more expensive to go that route. I got paint on my, this stuff dries pretty solidly here. Let me put some water on the sponge. Cool. Okay. Try making anything from DM Scotty. I don't know that. Melts the brain. Yeah, if Paul's saying it melts the brain, it's a pretty complex game. Although we get to generally play heavier games at conventions. We have not, wow, this is going to be the smallest amount of paint. So maybe I wick up just a little bit of it so I don't need so much contrast medium to affect the color. Because I don't need a ton, but I want it to be light. See what that looks like. Still might be dark. But yeah, I've known Paul a long time. Nikki sort of worked with him and gave him advice, and then I gave him some camera. I've given him camera advice and stuff and microphone advice a bunch because he, it's not easy to find what you want. And he's like, you guys have a good setup and stuff. I'm like, well, here's what we do. Maybe one more drop. Okay, let me put my glasses where I won't get paint on them, where it looks like I just got something on them. Oh, I think that's water. I have a lens cleaner. Let's get that out. I saw something about the fires that they were like 96% contained. I'm like, wow, I cannot believe anything is still burning after the rain. We didn't get a ton of rain, but we got, I think, more rain than they expected, which has been good for us. We have solar panels, and they got washed. I basically, I need to buy a tool to do that from the ground. It's only, it's not very high up. It's a single-story house. But I get up there and do them myself, but I don't know that that's necessarily a great idea. Let's see, did I stir that? Okay. This looks like it might be enough. I just want it slightly grayer than the clothing. And I can add multiple coats if I'm not 100% satisfied with the amount of how intense the gray is. Is it Sire? No, it's not Sire. I was trying to figure out how I have to pronounce your handle. That looks pretty good. It makes it look like it's maybe a different material than the bodysuit, which is good because it should be. Cool. See, I use this mini holder, which is a dowel with some poster tack, so that I don't touch the edge, and the clamp doesn't touch the edge of the black painted. I still may do one more coat of standard black before I put that plus a coat of contrast medium, excuse me, not contrast medium, one of the blacks. Usually I've been using, because I was using it before the other black was available, the Black Templar instead of, that's black. Wrong black. Which black is it? Oh, it's the one. No, that's the contrast paint. Where is it? Is it this one? Basilicanum. I have a lot of that. Nuln oil. I'm not seeing that paint. Black Templar and Black Legion is the name, but I don't see it here. Oh, there it is. Black Legion. So I think they're cool. They're both different kinds of blacks. I'm really glad they are. I'm hoping that they'll expand their line again. It's been 2 years. And I think they did the last update to the line in 2022, if I recall correctly. But I really like this method. I feel it does a good job. It is quicker. I mean, for me, I'm not a super fast standard acrylic painter. I'm way more deliberate when I do that. It almost already has this going on because of the... Did I do this one already? I think I did this one already. Nope. Oh, it's this one. So I have done these two. These are going to probably particularly help because they're very bright. The rattle can did it. It's amazing though how well the rattle can coats. So it is a good option, and if you can get it smoother, and I know there are smooth, it can come out smoother, and you know, if you use one of the primers that are created by GW or Army Painter or Color Forge, and there's probably others, they look good. I mean, they look, I use the, I think I've said it before, I use the Gray Sear, I believe was the primer. I don't know if that's gone or not. But they had a new white one, which I've used once here that GW sent me. And it looks good. You know, it's much smoother. Now, you know, Southern California is a little milder if you're not doing it in the heat of the summer, which would be bad, I would think, too, because it would probably dry before it even lands on the miniature. It's funny, it looks about the same intensity, and I put quite a bit more contrast medium. It's probably lighter, it's just the way it's looking. But that's okay. Just the boots. Cool. Put Black Legion back. I don't think I need it. I have not met Kabuki Kid. I've talked to her online a bunch. I don't know if, I mean, maybe Lance has met her, but she watches some of our GameNight stuff. I mean, I like our morning and then the evening stream thing. It means that more of the audience gets covered. Hey, lady, the Light 4. I am. Thanks for following, I guess, here. Or first time chatting. Right now I'm painting She-Hulk from Marvel United. So I'm doing 3 of them at a time. I think it's turned out pretty great. These are huge, right? That's the thing. So here's some minis I painted that were Games Workshop vampires. These are the Crimson Court. And I'm always like saying these Marvel United minis are great for people to get started with. Look how the size difference here, right? Bigger faces, bigger body parts, you know. They're good. It's inexpensive. I mean, you could buy the first starter box for as little as like $12 sometimes when it's on sale. And they, you know, you can start painting and get good. You know, get some of the techniques down, then you can move on to some of these tinier ones. I'm an okay painter with this type of stuff, but I really liked how these turned out. They were fun. I really love those minis too. Those are phenomenal. Games Workshop does nice stuff, for sure. Okay, so that's drawing. Let me see what I should do. Maybe I'll just do a little, the problem is I hate to do primer through the, my biggest other challenge with doing the, I do have a ramekin out here, I think. I could maybe do it and put the stuff in the ramekin, but I'm very particular about cleaning my airbrush pretty quickly. And if, man, what did I do with that ramekin? And so when I airbrush on the stream, I don't necessarily get to the cleaning, and especially with primers, you don't want to wait too long. Others are much more carefree about that than me. When we visit our friend Sebastian, he jokes I'm the guy who cleans his airbrush every year when I come. And I mean, because it doesn't work great. Like, you definitely need to keep it clean. Where the heck did I put that ramekin? Maybe I brought it back into the house. It's just a melamine ramekin, but shoot. But yeah, primers are tough. They are harder to get off, and it requires more cleaning. So I generally use, well, I've used every airbrush. I've used my finest airbrushes and my least expensive one, and they all do a pretty great job. It's just the ease of cleaning. So I've been using this one a lot. This is a Gallery, G-A-A-H-L-E-R-I. They're relatively inexpensive. This is near the top of the line, if not the top of the line for this type of airbrush. It is internal mix, has a gravity-fed cup instead of a siphon feed. They had a new set that they're doing, like a, I don't know what they're calling it, some special edition, only 500 of them made. It was 2 different airbrushes. And I looked at it, and I'm like, I'm definitely not buying that. But, you know, it's hard not to want to try them, you know, because it was 2 airbrushes I don't have. But I don't really need them, and I like these airbrushes. Particularly this one, the higher end one, has this heavily polished cup that makes it easier to clean. So I've been using this a lot, and I clean it every time. I don't know, I'm particular about like getting paint on the outside. I don't know why. I mean, my parents gave me an airbrush when I was maybe 13 or something like that. I still have that airbrush. It's pretty clean. I've always cleaned it. I've learned how to clean it on my own because this is before YouTube. And so I just took it apart without fully taking it. It was funny because I was watching Vince do his, speaking of Vince Venturella, he did a cleanup video. Now his airbrushes are dirty, and he's like, it doesn't matter what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside. And he's right, but I just can't do it. was using a ream, essentially, like a metal, I think I have one in my kit, to clean it, and he used it differently than I did, and he's probably correct. I use it and very lightly go into the tip of the needle and then clean any residue without scraping any metal, which is challenging, and it might be better, but he was like moving it around there. I'm like, man, I would almost certainly mess it up doing it that way. Have to admire people, probably. Well, here's the deal. They cost money and I want them to last. And so I don't have, other than I dropped one of my budget airbrushes and I think I paid $15 at Harbor Freight. I dropped it immediately, but it still works. But I keep it clean regardless. I should have bought another one for parts, but it doesn't really matter that it's, you can, on other airbrushes, you can paint without the tip protector, essentially. It's not just that, it's part of the airbrush. Well, actually, I don't know. It might work without that. On that airbrush, I don't know. It depends on them. A lot of airbrushes don't have the front, this part right here. They don't have this on it, and you can airbrush without it. I mean, people airbrush just like that on there. I leave it on there because I'm semi-clumsy and I have bent needles. As a matter of fact, this needle here, which I sort of straightened, it's not really straight, but this is I'm using as an mixer inside the, when I want to mix inside the cup, I just made this loop and I just spin it around in there because I put water droplets in first, then the paint, and sometimes a thinner, but it depends. There's an airbrush thinner that you can use. This is the brand I use, the Vallejo airbrush thinner. But yeah, so I bent this tip a long time ago, and in trying to deal with it and straighten it out, I ended up messing the part of the nozzle, which is the very, very tip of it. Let's see if you can, no, this one wouldn't be a good one to do. But it was a piece of brass, you know, a little piece of brass, so I bought a replacement back when Michaels used to carry Badger, and it turned out great. You know, I mean, it was an easy fix and it wasn't very expensive. But I just don't want to damage them. I have two things I've had to done. Once I bent the needle, and then distorted the nozzle. And then another one is I was taking apart a less expensive airbrush, and Vince actually addressed it 100% in his video where he does it on a paper towel, so it's more likely to stay in place instead of flying off. And that's exactly what happened, is it flew off and I could never find it. And it was, you know, it's a very tiny, tiny piece of metal, precision milled, right? And it was like, oh, well, I screwed up. So I bought another one that Amazon. So that's the other interesting thing about the Chinese ones. Sometimes you can get the parts. So I have some airbrushes here. Let's see. Open this up. I mean, I have a lot of airbrushes. But I was able to buy another nozzle piece and it worked 100%. So they probably, a lot of them are manufactured by one place, which is cool. I mean, that's really amazing to me, actually. Did I just do these top ones? I did. I'm a knucklehead. Let's see here. So it was this airbrush. I think it was this one. And so it has, this is not a bad airbrush. I mean, and you could see they're basically the same, like, let's compare these. They're not identical, but they're close. And they could be made by the same people, who knows, right? Wow, they really do look similar. Wonder if this piece fits this piece. But these are definitely different. They have different nozzles. I really appreciate what these guys are trying to do, and they're relatively inexpensive. You can get the cheaper version of this, which would be fantastic. Does not have the super polished cup, but who cares? Let's see if that would fit. Sure does. Interesting. Anyway, so I was taking it apart. I think I was having splatters, and so that's where there's something in the nozzle usually when that happens, or on the needle. But I took apart this, and boy, they really look similar. They do not have the same nozzle though. So I took this apart, and it's this little metal tip on the front here, this little shiny silver part. and it fell off. That's actually a little bigger than some of them, and I could not find it. I have no idea. I still haven't found it, but I bought another one, replaced it, and worked perfectly fine. This came with, when I bought this airbrush, I got it with this compressor. Let me put this back on. Yeah, Vince showed a Iwata, which I have one of those as well, and it's a great airbrush. But they're now like 170, whereas this this gallery, when I bought it, I think I paid 80 something dollars with a coupon. There was like a discount, and they had it on sale, and there was a discount, and then I think I even I used a gift certificate, so I really dropped the price. Wonder if these are the same. No, they won't be the same. But this isn't an expensive airbrush. It came with this compressor right here. And this compressor's not bad. You can hear it. Is it? Oh, it's not. It's not on because there's nothing spraying. Let's get it on something. I want you to hear it, but it's a little loud for being right here. But this kit came with like some of these like quick connects, I think. But yeah, it's just a little rechargeable compressor. It's a little noisy. Let's see. Yeah, underneath here would be okay. So it's not bad. I mean, I have quite a few compressors as well. My mom has bought me like at least 2 compressors over the years. I still have. I don't know what happened to one of them. It might have failed. But this charges USB-C. This costs like $60. I think that was a pretty cheap price, maybe 50 something. It's about 70 normally, but even at $70, it's a pretty good deal because if you're just priming, this is a fine airbrush. It's not ideal, it's not the best, but it does a decent job. And you're just putting color. You're just doing black, white, and gray in the case of what I'm doing, but you could do other colors as well. Buying a good airbrush is good though. You want to have a nice airbrush, And I'll show you why I like I'm going to charge this up. It was getting low. I'll show you why I like the gallery, and I'll show you the other one too. I have an Ultra, which is the least expensive Harder Steenbeck. I have a couple Harder Steenbecks. This is one of them. But you'll see they're kind of like taking the design tips from that and applying it to theirs. And I don't know how well these are manufactured. I know Harder and Steenbeck are like amazingly engineered. But here is, yeah, getting an airbrush for priming to me is ideal. So this has 2 parts, and this is the nozzle. Wow, it's pulling the needle. That's not a good sign. Is it not? Ow. Now I'm going to poke myself. I got to check that out. So it's tiny. It's not as small as that other one, but it's small. Let me get the needle, the tweezers here somewhere, right here. And they have a newer version of this one with a. There's channels around it that feed the air through it to pull the paint out, which is a pretty neat design. They have some other newer one, which I don't have and I don't really need, that it has a shift in it. So some sort of vortex creation or something. I don't know if that's really important, but it looks clean in there though. Wonder why that was sticking. It's interesting though, because it really should be tight on here. I did not do a good job reassembling it. So that's the problem is when you do that, is it's not going to, as you can see here, the trigger just slides on that. So I didn't tighten it down. So I'm gonna put that in there, put this back on. Wow, that looks painted in there. See, this is why I don't like painting on the stream. I think I didn't clean it very well. So let's clean it right now. Let's see how it does. Hooray, get to do something on the stream, which isn't ideal. So that's dry and it's gonna be hard to clean. So we pull that needle out. I really feel like I would have done that though. I cleaned the needle at least. I don't think I cleaned the body, but you can see paint in there. So I'm going to use alcohol. It's a metal parts. It shouldn't be a problem with it. I am looking for a pipe cleaner, and I have some on the desk here. There's one. They have brushes that you can use, and those work pretty great too. You don't want all of them, you don't want anything to get into the airbrush. But pipe cleaners seem to do a pretty good job. So let's get some alcohol on it and see if we can clean that up. But man, what a bummer. This is exactly, I mean, it's the whole thing. I might have had a similar situation when I did it. Like, I know I painted on the stream recently, I think. Or no, maybe it was just me doing it here. So yeah, the alcohol really cleans the paint off quickly. How weird. I really feel like I don't know. Clearly I did it though. Yeah, it's pretty strange. Now, you can't really get in there because it's a narrow channel. Let's see if I can force it in a little bit, kind of. Very weird. I did not do it. So if I get distracted, that's part of my problem, is I might get distracted and not really finish it off. It does look like there's some paint in here. Can I get that in there? Maybe I might have a finer brush. That's okay. Now the thing is there's a seal in here. There's a Teflon seal in here, which is just behind this hole, which you can't see here. And that prevents paint from getting into the body. So right now there's nothing holding the trigger in place besides it just being in the right position. So let me clean the nozzle just in case. So I will do this with a brush. But before I do that, let me just show you how the Ultra works. They use the similar nozzle for all of their stuff. Like, I think you could use the nozzle across all of their equipment. They have a newer version of it though, and it's made out of titanium, I think the new one is. But you can see it's a little bigger. It has a Teflon nut on the back. It's a nice airbrush. It's especially, you know, this is $100, well, probably $120 now maybe. I would not buy I bought the Squidmar. I used to watch his stuff all the time, and I still watch him, but I don't watch him as much. And I was like, oh, I want to support him, so I bought the Squidmar one. And I wanted to see one like this. I actually prefer chrome stuff on this, but in this case, I ended up going for it. And it's harder to clean, to be honest with you. So it's a neat looking brush, but it's designed to help people get started. So it has this, number one, you have to push the trigger down to pull it back. So it teaches you good handwork with it, you know, your, operation, because you don't want to just pull back with the paint going full. You have to first do the air, then the paint. That's what this action is. This brings it, puts the air spraying, and then this pull back gets the paint. Then you don't get splatters. And then they have different levels of, you put it on prime if you're going to prime the Mini, and it controls how much paint comes out. Then if you're doing a base coat color, and I don't know what 1, 2, and 3 are, but they are, so 3 is the most restricted. So that may be detail, and then this is a little bit more coverage, and then a lot more coverage, and then this is full wide open. But it's a cool airbrush, and it's a neat idea. I would definitely buy the chrome one though. Let me put this back. So I want to clean this, and I think I should do that with alcohol. So I save bottle caps to have a little pool of alcohol on my desk, and it's nice because it's got a relatively small cavity. This one's dirty. Let's do one of these other ones. But they're pretty great little reservoirs for, it's a little bit more than I actually need, but that's okay. Maybe I'll clean some other stuff. So yeah, it's not really deep enough, but that will work if I tilt it. So using this is a great, quick way to clear. As long as the materials are safe, alcohol will clean them. I would never use alcohol on a natural hair brush. Synthetic is not such a big deal. But you let it sit for a few, And then I'm going to just put the needle through it, you know, into it and like spin it around a little bit and see if that'll clean it up. I do have those, the ream that he was suggesting, tool that that Vince used. But I do like that they don't, you know, that you don't need to be as ridiculous as I am with caring for the airbrush. I want the stuff to last. Hey, Life and Stuff. So what I use to paint dice. So when I painted some dice for a game called Spicy Dice. I made custom dice for. I bought dice and then painted them custom for the game. And what I used was acrylic paint, and then I used a gloss varnish. So I don't have a gloss varnish. This is the glossiest varnish I have from AK Interactive. I like their varnishes a lot. But I used, this gloss varnish was from Polyscale. It's still good. I mean, I've had it for at least 20 years and it's still great. But I just got tired of the bottle sealing up, like the varnish would basically lock the lid on. So I just was like, forget it, I'll just move it to a dropper bottle. I don't use a lot of, I mean, I use gloss, but it's a very tiny amount, so it lasts me forever. I would never buy a bottle this big. I would just buy a small bottle as a replacement. But I use a lot of this. Satin is the one I use the least, but what I will do is mix it with one of the mattes to give it a slightly, if I wanted a slight sheen, and it works great. But yeah, that's the way I would do it. If you're going to color the dice, it's get a bit of gloss varnish and white paint, and I actually used red on mine as well because that's the special. One face is in these dice you have 6 dice, and one of them has a red one. One of them has a red 2, one of them has a red 3, one of them has a red 4. You know, and it does a pretty great job. It's taking paint out of there. Cool. The other thing I do is I often will make a point with a napkin. For whatever reason, nice napkins seem to be the best for this, or reasonably nice napkins. They do a better point. So I twist it into a point and then I push it into the nozzle. So I'm not going to add alcohol to the paper because it just makes it grow. And I push it in. And I usually get it out the other end, and I use that to clean it. Yeah, you can see it's poking out. Let's see if I can do that. But this is all stuff I figured out on my own. Very weird though, I cannot believe I didn't clean this. I see paint on the edge of the nozzle too. I did not clean it, guaranteed. Very disappointing. Well, I need to try to use a knife to pull that off. It's very painted there. And now, it's a seal, it'd probably be okay. But I just want to keep it clean. But I don't know if you're painting pips or what are you doing on that. I have, that's mostly what I've done. We've had dice where the pip is popped out as we roll it, so I will paint paint it in and put on a varnish. One of the things you kind of want the surface, when you're having that, it means the surface is too smooth, but it's kind of hard to rough up the inside of that. Goodness gracious. Boy, I really didn't clean this. That's disappointing. And I would have used that today if I had the ink mixed. It's one of the things I try to be very deliberate with the airbrush so that I am cleaning stuff as I do it. Okay. So I was saying about the gallery, one of the things they do is they have parts that they sell. So when I got the airbrush, it actually had, this is a quality control thing that kind of disappointed me. This is not it, this is a replacement needle, but it had a very tiny bend in the tip. And paint was catching and it was weird. And I couldn't figure out why, because I'm like, you know, these things, they quality control this. So I'm not sure. Now, I bought mine pretty early when they were introduced to the airbrush. I think I might have even seen it from Barbados Rex. He is a YouTuber that covers airbrushes. He's also at Gunpla and Cars. I've never actually seen him paint anything. I haven't actually looked at his videos for a little while. It's weird. YouTube does not recommend things based on what I necessarily would watch, even though I'm subscribed to them. So I have to go through my subscriptions every so often and see what I've missed. Because yeah, it wasn't recommending me Adam, and I watch Adam stuff all the time. And I was busy, so it wasn't like I wasn't thinking about it. So that seems like it's better now. It's crazy though. You can put it in this way, and this is probably the way to do it. And then I load it in upside down. And so one of the things you can do to make sure that you're not stripping things is you go backwards until you hear a pop. Well, this isn't doing it. I just did it a second ago. And then it's just a tiny little, you can also feel it. And that means it's catching the start of the threads. And you can do this all hand tighten. Now the last thing I need to do is clean the needle. It looks clean. It looks like I cleaned that but didn't get to the rest of the stuff. Disappointing. But yeah, when I do that with the napkin, I can do a couple cleanings with it, and then I've got 4 corners that I can use, and it does a great job. It's better than paper towels. I don't know why paper towels, considering how tough they can be, but maybe they're just coarser for the, ouch, don't stab yourself. Coarser for the, for pickup, right? No, it's not as fine. You're not worried about it being soft on your hands. How long would you say is too long to let your airbrush sit before you rinse it? So I think I've seen him do something where he actually sticks the airbrush into a reservoir of water. So when he's working, so that all of the main portions of the airbrush are staying moist, not the cup. Unfortunately, I would not, if you have paint that you're trying to use, or if you're going to change paints, then you can clean it. But I don't let it, Southern California, I don't let it go too long because things dry very fast here. Now notice that, so this is, again, not tight enough. So when you put it in, you only put it in just where you feel it connect. You don't press. You don't want to distort anything. So there you go. Let's actually run this a little bit to see if water comes through it smoothly. You want to do that before you put paint in. I cleaned the cup too. I know I cleaned the cup. I remember doing that. So I really dropped the ball. That's a disappointment. But yeah, the cup's clean. Now, I think I was doing a highlight, so I really didn't use it very much. Maybe I ran water through it and thought that would be enough, but it was not enough. It really depends. But yeah, so you can get parts for this, and they sell them on Amazon. Now, you can buy parts for any of the not real, but the major brands. They will sell parts. Iwata actually, I mean not Iwata, Iwata does, but I think I bought from, when I got my first, I have not got the new Infinity. There's a new 2024 Infinity CR that I would like to buy, but it's not worth it for me because I don't really need another, I definitely don't need another airbrush. I have far too many airbrushes. Getting close to 20, I think, which is just ridiculous. I was able to buy, so I bought the airbrush used from a guy on eBay, and he was charging a great price for having used it once, and you could totally tell it just wasn't working for him. And one of the things that was a problem with the previous versions, which I have, is it's not here. Let me see if I pull it out. There was like a little gap in the action when you pulled the trigger to get the paint to flow, and I had that problem too. So you would pull a little bit before it would activate. What you can do, and what I did, is I put a piece of Teflon tubing, cut a slice, and it now moves the second you so it would be that you'd pull and it'd be some movement before paint actually flowed. This actually solved that problem. So he had the 2 cups, and it had 2 of the needles, so I bought the other needle I didn't have, and I actually just had my friend in Germany order them because it was a little easier and a little cheaper. But there's a spray gunner here in the United States that sells a lot of that stuff. They just run out of stock, and that was the reason why I didn't get it, actually, is they didn't have stock. I also had them buy a little teeny cup. So this, you don't even need it, but the nice thing is it protects the threads. So this is the smallest cup. Well, not the smallest, because this next one's the smallest cup. So you can see the threading there, but this little tiny cup, it really isn't a cup. It just, wow, it really doesn't seem to thread that well. Maybe I'm stripping it. Hey, Cheshire Cat, are you? Thanks for the follow. So yeah, this will protect the threads, and I guess it's meant to go maybe where you don't. Oh, there you go. It seats up against the Teflon bearing, and you can put paint in. What you do is, when you're painting like this, you just put a brush full of paint on there and brush it into the airbrush, and you'd be surprised how long you don't need. You can go with that amount of paint, and it's pretty great. So I had him buy that as well. So now I have the 3 cups. Now let's see if I can get it off. You definitely need, if you're going to do airbrushes, everything should be hand tightened for the most part, but sometimes things get stuck and you need a nylon jaw pliers so you don't destroy the finish. I mean, you can actually destroy the unit if you do that, so you don't want to mess it up, particularly stuff down here. But yeah, these guys engineer their stuff really well. This is a very nice airbrush. You can see here, this is like I was talking about, this is a different kind of nozzle protection. Like, it prevents you from getting too close and bending the needle, but it makes it so you can clean it. You just pinch it and it will pull the dried paint on the tip of the airbrush. These are expensive. This one cost me, I think, around $190 on eBay. And they're nice. I would like to have the new one, but I'm not going to buy it. I really don't need it. And I could probably buy some of the parts. That's not the right one. I could probably buy some of the parts and use them. Like, they're milled similarly, if not exactly the same, but different tolerances and stuff. But yeah, this is an okay airbrush, especially for the money. And I've used this to prime many times. One of the things I was doing one time is I had the little airbrush in my, the compressor in my pocket, and I was walking around outside doing it and getting in as bright a light as I could get in and see it. It's hard. I got to tell you, it's almost better to airbrush in, not natural light. You can see your coverage a little better. So maybe it's not as bright. I don't know what the deal is. But I still airbrush outside. I have a little set up, a stool with there's like a hanger that you can hang your airbrush on. I hang the airbrush on it. And then I have the paints that I'm using, and I have bottles. I have this bottle here that I can squirt into the cup and clean it out and get ready to change colors. Usually when I'm doing that, right, that's for this stuff, and it's it's does the cup come off of this? No. And it's just white to, black to gray to white, so it really isn't that big of a deal. Okay, so let's get back to painting. This is dry now. She's brawny. Okay, so I'm going to use black. I use the black Templar. I'm going to need this one, I bet, soon. But yeah, if you were, it really depends. And as you can see, I cleaned it up after the fact. It was okay. It's not fun, and I'm always nervous taking it apart. I've never really had problems. I was not afraid when I first started. I'm shocked how little fear I had to do that because, it's kind of scary. But as I said, they used to have parts. I actually bought a bunch of parts well before they stopped carrying it. So I actually still have parts that were pretty inexpensive from probably 20 years ago. Okay. At Michael's. I'm sad that Michael's doesn't carry it anymore. So I'm going to do this in the holder. This is one of the Games Workshop holders. I do not want to spill this. I use this full intensity. Your brush should have some moisture in it when you're doing this. And in this case, I always start on the back because I want the seam to be on the side where you're not really looking. Adam I watched him, so I convinced him to do some streams during 2020 when we were doing our virtual cons. And he did some stuff for Comic-Con, and he did some stuff for our BGG Con. And he was the one that showed on his stream the painting of the base with black and then this contrast paint. And it actually does a pretty good job. It smooths things out. It's weird how the contrast paints, whatever their medium is, it turns it to gel. The paint starts to gel when it's drying, and that kind of levels things out. I'm not certain that that's what Adam's doing, but that's what I've noticed. So I actually had a problem. I can maybe show you. I touched her face on one of the minis as it was drying, and it left a divot. I'll show you here. I think it's here, so you can see it. It's there, but I was able to touch it up. It's okay. It's not a big deal, but it was weird. So I saw it after the fact. I thought, wow. So I had touched a little paint on it to cover it up, and it did an okay job. So I added a little bit more because I had a bunch of that paint, and it stayed wet for a while, thankfully. Sorry, getting it out of frame. You don't want to go back over it. Once you reach the other side, you don't want to go over it because then you tear the film as it's drying. It dries very quickly, particularly here in California. So you don't want to tear that was what happened on her face. You don't want to tear the membrane of the paint drying. So you got to be cautious. And that's why I put it on the back, because if I'm going to tear the membrane, I want it to be on the back side. Now you can see it's already drying by the time I get around. Cool. I might do the varnish on these. Finished, yeah, I like the, I don't mind, I like all of this stuff. It's a fun thing. I don't mind cleaning this stuff. I don't mind, I actually am now good about the palette because I don't want that, the mildew. And I know, you know, I put it in the refrigerator, which I used to not have problems. So I'm not sure if like it got started and now it's a problem. But I do like the whole process. It's fun, and I don't mind cleaning. I always do a nice job on Sebastian's airbrush when I clean it up. Okay, so this is a brush I don't. It's one of the Royal Langnickel makes some nice brushes, but this is their probably most inexpensive. Maybe they might even make a cheaper one, but I bet they don't even manufacture these. These are from China. But I like them. I think they do a pretty good job. I do like synthetic. I do have natural hair brushes, and I think they're good. But I'm abusive when I'm painting minis. My brushes lasted longer when I was doing paintings. Now, if I was doing stippling, that would probably mess a brush up pretty quickly. But yeah, that's part of the problem is you're poking the brush into the mini's crevices and stuff, and it just curls the tip, and sometimes cause it to spread. I was noticing that Sam was using, in one of the videos, he was using these brushes, and I had somehow, maybe it was Adam that told me about that he had used these brushes. And so I bought some, and they're nice. They're not terribly expensive, a couple dollars per brush. He uses like a 4 or something like that, or a 5. I mean, this 2 seems huge to me. But you know, it doesn't, as long as the brush is good, it comes to a point, and that's all you need, depending on what you're doing. I mean, I'm sure he has other brushes that he uses, but these are great, and they're inexpensive, and they last a while. Now, the one trick I did, which was I'd read about, that if you put it in, now didn't I just use that brush? I did. Hot water, it'll relax that curve. You can't see it here, but it's got a curve again. Now, I used it a bunch of times since I did that, so I could probably do it one more time. But eventually, it's going to be a problem. And you need it to be, for me, I need the tip to be straight. Sometimes I actually use that hook to my advantage, but you can't really see it. Let's see if it'll focus. Probably needs to be in front of something dark. So you might be able to see it there. Yeah, you could see it there. It's not great. This is much better than it was, but the hot water relaxes that curve, then you let it dry. And you got to be cautious. You don't want the hot water to get into the ferrule. The ferrule is crimps the nozzles, the needles, the brushes, excuse me, but it also has glue in it. And you don't want to destroy that glue. Which brushes did you get, Jack? The Saks or the Royal Langnickel? I really like the Royal Langnickel for the money, especially because they're only about 30 cents a brush. The ones and twos are not fantastic. This is a 2, I believe. No, it's a 1. Some of them are better than the others. It's like you have 24 brushes or something, and I mean, at 30 cents, who cares? Oh, the green ones? Yeah, Saks are great. I bought them from an online school supply, and they were a pretty good price. So it was like maybe 6 brushes for $10 or $12. And if you're a teacher, you could probably save some money. But it's fine. I like them. I have several of them. I also have the brown. I have one that has a silver or white. Let me see if I can find it. I don't see it here. And it seems like it's similar to these. Where is that brush? But yeah, it's got basically instead of golden Taklon, it's basically probably a white Taklon. Boy, I don't see it. It's got to be here somewhere. I have like a kind of a double thing here where I've been trying to keep stuff in that's directly at my fingertips that I'm going to use, and then the ones that I get into the pool of brushes. Let's see here. I like these as well. These are Zem. Got them on eBay. They're not much more expensive. And I'll tell you, the first few of these that I was using lasted a long time before I started to get a hook. And then then the next one I got, it's got a hook pretty quickly. And I was like, what? But it's probably just me, right? It isn't necessarily the brush. So I have this liner brush, and I don't fiddle with it, but it is right here. And it has like one bristle that pokes out, which is a, wow, so it's got some stuff in there. Maybe I didn't clean it. Probably. Ugh. I think I was dotting the color on the eye. I just spilled it into the palette. Not that that matters, but let me clean it up, because if I use a regular brush, I don't want to foul it up. Okay. But yeah, I like the Sax airbrush, paint brushes. They're very nice. Okay, and I watch Sam too. His videos are shorter generally, but he has some cool stuff. I watched some of his recently as well. It's funny, I'm one of those people that likes to see everything that somebody puts together. Others are just, you know, what they're interested in, but I will see. I like to see. For one thing, I think that they have some good ideas and subjects, so it's like I learned something from all of them. So yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, it's got that one little hair that extends a little bit, and I think that's to help keep the point. But I use this, and this is an 18-0. I don't even know if I should look and see if I have any more. I don't think I do, and I'm sad because I know I won't be able to find that one again. That was when Michaels used to actually have good paintbrushes. Nope. One liner I bought. Crazy. But Low Cornell, I don't even know if they exist anymore. Wait, is that one right there? No. It's an 18-0, but round. So it's not quite as long, and I actually like longer bristles. This is one I brand new one I've never even touched. I wonder where the heck that, I might have put it back in with the other brushes, the white sable, golden tack line, not sable, brush. They're cool. Okay, so let's see where we are at on those, because I want to varnish them if possible today. I will wait a little longer though before I put varnish over this base. But that looks nice. I like that. I've always done black edges. I don't know when that came into being, and I don't know if I saw other people doing it because when I was first into Games Workshop, everybody was painting them green, but I, for whatever reason, had black. Felt that was better. What do I know? Let's see here, there's some schmutz on here. Let's clean it off. I need to get a new needle on, knife on this X-Acto. Yeah, they're cool. So yeah, we'll probably do it. I don't know, Aaron probably wouldn't be interested. He's done with the comic book stuff. He said when he was young, he'd have been freaking out that they'd have all these movies, but it's just too much. And it is a lot of stuff. And with mixed results anymore. They used to be pretty good. I'm kind of eager to see what James Gunn does with DC. DC's been more my thing when I was young, even though I was never crazy about comics. I just liked those comics better. Well, not necessarily better, but I was more interested in them. Let's see here before we get carried away. Okay. Making sure these are clean. Get the alcohol out of the way. I had one time I spilled some alcohol and I blew air on them, and they dried without destroying the paint job. It wasn't a lot of alcohol, but that's what I'm always afraid of, is destroying the. So I actually need to do another varnish. So I did these Jessica Jones, and I put a sheen, like a satin, on her hair. I'm not really blown away with the highlights on that either. Although I did wash that, so that probably needs to be done. One of the things I like to do is paint the highlights under. Now this one I dry brushed, and it looks amazing, I think. Then put the contrast color over it. And I think those look pretty great for the lady's hair. So I should just get back to doing that. I have a bunch of dry brushes. I mean, dry brushes that will do the job. Green is considered the most forgiving color to work with. Interesting. Hey Chad, how you doing? I was very happy. So I did one of the first ones I did with green skin was the Green Goblin, and I was so happy with the end result on that one. I could not believe it. And I was doing shading with the contrast paints, kind of wet blending it, and it turned out really nice. And then I did Gamora, and hers turned out great as well. I was like, wow, this is great. And so ultimately the Hulk is probably, the Hulk and She-Hulk are the easiest, sort of. But yeah, they're cool. They look nice. And this is the one that was rattle can. I mean, it isn't that bad. It just is a little, it's kind of like almost matter because of the, more matte, flat, because of the texture of the rattle can paint. But it looks good. I mean, there's no reason, here's the reason why I wouldn't use rattle can. They're expensive, and you're using, VOCs, and I don't love to smell that stuff. I still wear a mask even when I paint mask when I'm rattle canning outside. I just don't like the paints, and it's not great to breathe acrylics either. But and so you mask for that as well. But it's not as, I don't have to be as stringent. I actually use a spray booth that's behind me here when I do it inside, and I can just put on a standard mask, and I don't smell it. Now, when I use the Stynylrez ones, they have an odd smell too. I mean, it's a primer. It's doing something different. I don't know if I've ever used any other of the Badger paints. Only maybe only maybe that stuff. Let's see here. I like it though. I like it a lot. I just wish the white was stronger for me. Let me see here. It's only 7. I got a little bit more time. I will probably end it. I'm a little tired today. I don't know what's happening. I ended up not staying up late, but I was falling asleep when we were watching some television last night. But I think I need to rest. I have tomorrow. I want to try to get a bunch of stuff done because we are going to supposedly film on Saturday. So, okay. How's Luke doing? I've not varnished him yet. I have this. Let me put a little bit of wash on his buckle. He looks cool. This was Scott's primed. Now I think I put varnish on his head before I painted the color to make it come out smoother, and it looks pretty darn good. Do I have another one of these? I do. Here's the other one I painted. I've painted 3 of them now. But he looks good. It's not quite as smooth as this one, and I solved the problem because it's tough. I fixed it mostly by just painting little bits of it, stippling it essentially where it was lighter, and it turned out pretty great. I definitely want to keep this over here to make sure I varnish it. Yeah, I mean, so everybody's been sick. Deborah was sick this weekend a little bit. And maybe I've gotten something from her. I don't think so, though. I'm just tired. And then I don't want Nikki to get sick, which, you know, if she's around me and I get sick, I usually am the last one to get sick. So who knows? But today we went to the dentist. Nikki and I always try to schedule our stuff together. And I was leaning back in the chair. When I tilted back up, my sinuses were starting draining. So I don't know what was going on there. I wasn't stuffy or anything, and I'm still not. But when my sinuses drain, I get nauseous. So it was not a great feeling. Well, gosh, I really want to paint her. And I just cleaned that airbrush. Should I just go ahead and do it? Because I want to get her brightened up. I've already done 2 of them, and they turned out pretty great. So I want to do Scott's. But you can see it's a lot of blue, which is not necessarily terrible, but she's not light enough, and her face is too... It's a downer because you end up losing shading, which I actually appreciate, but you have to make sure that you get the black done well. Let's see, I can do a small amount, and then that could be the last thing I do, is we'll do some airbrushing on the stream. Let me put the airbrush under the compressor underneath the desk, see if I can find a good spot for it. Ow. I dropped my remote. And then I can clean the airbrush and be patient. So, ting. Okay, that was a nice ring. So let me see if I can find a spot for this that's quiet. What I really need is like a piece of foam under here. Actually, what I'll do is put in a microfiber towel. Okay. Got these plastic bags that are just not sure what we stored in them, but they're large, so maybe we brought something home from Germany. I don't know. Okay. 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 So we'll use the airbrush I've been using. It's not too bad. And I'm going to do the lightest amount. I want it to be a very small. Agenda this weekend, Sarah, see, we are we are filming with Dave and maybe somebody else. I think we have filming scheduled every day. Every weekend, not both days necessarily. We had both days this last weekend, but we were going to film with Dave on Saturday, and then he's going to go back up north with his mom, and she came down with him. We haven't seen his mom in years, so it was really nice to see her. Had lunch with him last Friday, and that was cool. Well, if I'm going to get paint out, first of all, let me get all these minis that are painted out of the way so I don't destroy them. Not that there's going to be a ton of overspray. I actually should put on a mask as well. Let me see if I have one in here. Well, I can be a little carefree. I'm not going crazy. It is pretty cool being able to paint 3 of them at a time. I really want to get to where I'm doing all 3 of them and not, you know, priming them all at the same time. They never come out exactly the same, but really should varnish the Luke Cage. Maybe I'll do him with the She-Hulks here. Keep them separate. I really need to figure out a better method for storing these. I have a lot more. When I start to move them, I have a lot more than I realize. And this isn't even all the ones that I've done lately. But I'm like, oh, okay. Because I painted Daredevil a while back for myself, and then I did both of the ones for Dave and my friend. Well, not Dave, Scott and my friend. And at the same time. So I really like doing all three of them at the same time. It's pretty cool. It's a good amount. It doesn't take terribly long, and it get a good amount of stuff done at the same time. Now I need to really prime a bunch more. I probably should do some of these as well right now if I'm going to do the white. Look at the ones that are darks. That one's dark. You can see there's barely anything on her face. Now that's the thing with the if I was painting standard acrylics, it wouldn't matter, right? But I'm not doing that. I used to do zenithal highlighting to inform my shading for my paint. This is a long time ago, and it was pretty good. I'm not even sure where I learned that. I don't think it was a YouTube thing. Maybe somebody told me. Okoye, let's see where that one's at. Pretty good. Now see, I want this face to be a little smoother. I don't mind the pixely kind of look of them. But yeah, we are filming this weekend, and I'm excited to do that, actually. That one's pretty good. Is this Craven? That's so Craven? It is. And Craven's spear is just, I had to soak it in hot water on mine. I can try to do that on this one. I'm nervous though once the paint is on it. I could strip it though, but it's very difficult, so I might, before I do any painting on that, I will try to straighten that out. How does this Kang look? Well, I already airbrushed his face a little bit brighter. Okay. I'm seeing lots of minis in there that I have not painted, that I've already painted, 2 of, because I was doing 2 for a while there. Okay. Where's Quicksilver then? I did 2 of Quicksilver. I don't see him. I still have I have a lot I want to paint. I want to do Gamora, Nebula. I did the Nebula for Scott. I really should pick some more airbrushes out. Minis out if I'm going to airbrush. I'm going to do Adam. I'm going to paint him. Gosh, what's this character called? It was a Marvel one too. TV show. Oh, I definitely want to prime her a little bit better. She's too dark. So I'll get that, and we'll do it very lightly and not spray too much. So what I do is I usually put in a little bit of water, distilled water, into the airbrush before I add the paint. Did I move that? Probably. Oh, there it is. I'm tired of January too. It says, I'm happy to be out of January after tomorrow night. Yep. Won't be green where I am until April if you're lucky. It doesn't get green here until around that. I mean, we have stuff already growing in because of the rain, and we do get sun, so it does get going. But we had our trees trimmed, so those are starting to sprout, which is good because they were cut back pretty severely, which they needed to be, I guess. They know what they're doing. Really, these are dropper bottles that I purchased. I do not love them. I really wish I could buy some of the ones that I really would love to get, the ones that Vallejo uses now, because they're very clear. I love it. Let's see if this is going to be enough paint. It might not be. Seems kind of thin. Let me see what it does when I go on the edge there. Needs more paint. Interesting. Maybe I didn't shake it enough. You do have to shake these quite a bit. It's more paint than I'm going to probably need. Touching that nozzle, or the trigger. So yeah, I spin the little eyelet that I've made on this in here to mix it up. Sure doesn't seem like that strong, but I'm not... I mean, these are airbrush paints, primers. So you can see it's already working a little bit here. So I got to touch up some of the scratches. We shipped these and they got scratched. It's really kind of a bummer. So I think I've only done one Wanda, so I'm going to be doing 2 of these. Okay. Gosh, what is this character's name? I forgot it. Iron Fist. Takes a while. I'm using such a small amount, it's not really getting suspended in the air too much. I can usually smell this primer very strongly, and it's not crazy. Now, I would normally just do this with the spray booth behind me, and I wouldn't smell it at all, but I can faintly smell it here. It's a little bit much there on that, but I'm also trying to smooth out the primer. Yeah, see, it's too wet. I don't know why it's so good on the other ones. Maybe that's just too much paint. Okoye's spear too. Let that dry for a bit. It's very wet. And you can see this is assembled strangely. Wonder why that's seems to be okay. It is definitely not as intense as it should be. I can see it drying in the cup more mildly. There's like a, I don't do it at my desk enough, and I usually wait anyway, but there's I think Adam showed it, where there's like a little tool that you can use to, little blower on your desk. Is that a hair on there? Ugh. Well, that was there. Let's see if I can take that off. Take care, Jack. Get some rest. So I wonder if this is not, I'm noticing it's like a lot of paint. It's not a hair, but it sure looks like one. Didn't really clean it. It really kind of pays off to look at stuff before you do it. And I really should be looking at these. Even though they're painted, I still can fix things. Okay, well, that sure took it. See, that's the thing. You can actually see how thick the paint is here from the rattle can. So one of the things you can do to dry it off is just point the airbrush at it without paint coming through it. And her face is white, I believe, so. Gwen, Spider Gwen. See how much paint is still in there? There's so much. Now, it's not a lot of paint, so it's really not that wasteful, but it's also a little harder to clean. Let that dry for a moment. Scratches are the biggest bummer. We had actually packed these so that they wouldn't scratch each other, and they got repacked, which is truly a bummer. So let's start cleaning this. Well, let me double check that we have everything we like here. Maybe a little bit more color on her. White. Okay. I'm intrigued to paint some of these that I painted a while ago to see what they do. You know, I have some other new techniques and things like that since I've done it. So to clean this, usually what I do is I squirt in into the cavity with the squirt bottle. And then I backflow it. So what you do is you put your finger on the tip, and it bubbles up and it pulls some more paint out of the chamber, the nozzle assembly and stuff. Let me just do this first, though. Now, this is going to be the end of the job, so I wouldn't necessarily do this. So I'm pulling the trigger, you can't see. I'm pulling the trigger in the hopes, come on, focus on this, so that any paint that's on it will hopefully come out. It's pretty good there, it's getting clear. Now, some would say that's all you really need to do. You don't want any of the particulates, the dry paint, to necessarily get into the airbrush. So this is a brush with some stiffer bristles. You can't really see it, but a giant bubble is a little but that's pretty clean. So I would say that it's probably clean enough to then take apart and clean. So let me put that back so I don't spill it. Put this over here. I will say, so that's me using the this primer, and it's coming out pretty white. So maybe what the deal is I should just do my primers and then come back one final time before I paint with just to do the highlight. Do the highlighting first. I saw somebody's video. I didn't actually see it. I just saw a description. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting, because they're doing what I was doing, which was applying a certain amount of fudging how bright it is, right? Because zenithal is black all over the place as best as you can cover. Let me turn that off. I might need it in a bit, but let me turn it off for now. Black everywhere as best as you can cover. Then gray or white, you can just do white, but I do it with gray as the medium color, and I do that at a 45-degree angle. And then I do the white from the top generally. And then I will cheat it by going a little bit, going in a little bit on the face, because I want the face to be brighter generally. Yeah, look how much paint is on there. See if you can see it. That's just on, this is just from a little bit. Now this is primer. Primer is meant to stick, but boy, oh boy, that stuck pretty well. Now I don't pull it out the back. It is pretty clean. It doesn't look like there's a bunch of paint in there, but I will pull this off and clean all of this from the front, because I want the paint to come out from the front end, not into the assembly. Now, into the, it doesn't really matter going into the back, because it's not going to clog anything up, but I just don't want to build it up on the outside edge of that, potentially. So you can see there's quite a bit of white still on the tip. I don't know how people can clean that so easily. In my opinion, it's always stuck. So I almost always use alcohol. It's totally fine to use it on these because it's tough. It's a chrome finish. Still not off of there though. Goodness, and that's not a lot of alcohol left in there, but the reality is the needle's probably the easiest to clean though, so I should probably not waste too much time on it right now and get to it last. But so the tip of the nozzle here, the nozzle housing, it has a little bit of paint on it. Cleaned off there. The nozzle guard, or whatever this is, it actually has inside this kit the names that they use for this stuff. Although they had something incorrect spelled, I think was incorrect. Yeah, so I had that nozzle, the needle bent. I contacted them and they sent me a new one. And I've seen this stuff on the store now, so it's all there. So you can see that there's a lot of paint. Let's see if you can see it. There's quite a bit of paint around the edge there. So let me put that into, I don't think it's going to fit in there. I need to put a little more alcohol in. So then what I usually do is once I clean it, just to make sure I've got it, I will run some water through it at the very end. Okay. But I also, here's the thing, I find that they all have similar problems, just as far as when you're caring for them. And it's not terrible, but it's not great. I can disconnect that from the nozzle and work on that. So I usually use a Q-tip. So I'm going to try to reach in with this original pointed napkin to try to get to the body, because there is that paint there. I don't think it really matters, but I'm not going to reach. It has to be tighter than that, I think. Gets in there, but it's not really getting in there. So let me use this number 1 that is not a great brush and reach in there if I can. Oh, you know, one thing I forgot is I can use a toothpick. One thing I don't know if I like about this brush, airbrush, is this this gasket. I don't know what it's made of. You definitely don't want to get alcohol on anything like that, because the only thing that's really decent is maybe rubber, and definitely nope, too big. And it just breaks them down, the seals down, and you need it. Vince did one thing on his video where he was putting Vaseline to hold the, or petroleum jelly, to hold his needle, his nozzle housing, which I've never done that. Gosh, I wish I could get that. I don't know that I have anything that fine. It really doesn't matter, but I just don't want it building up in there. Yeah, it's hard, and I see paint in there. Now again, you're only worried about the paint in here flowing out that way, but any kind of chunks might give you an issue. Okay, so that's probably clean. Let's get back to that. Look at that needle, seems finer. So I'm using a toothpick with a little alcohol in it to clean, and you can see there's paint coming off. The primer is definitely more adhesive. It sticks to stuff pretty strongly. Okay, where's the brush? I think I mixed it up already. Yeah, it's a messy brush. Wow, you can see chunks of paint in there. And that's the thing, you don't want any in there. You can't really have any in there. You're going to have problems. So you do have to do, I don't know, I'm not sure. It wasn't very long that I was spraying. I ran water through it. I did not run airbrush cleaner or thinner, airbrush paint thinner, but maybe that would have helped. But for me, I don't see how you can not clean it every time. I don't know. If I want it to work the next time I use it, I feel that you should clean it completely. Wow, I really wished I could get in there. Let me see, I had that one. Let's see if that'll go in. I think it tapers down too much though. Nope. Wonder how far back the, wow, there's some black paint that came out there now. So that's not ideal. I don't know what they are doing there, but I might have a fine bristle kind of pipe cleaner thing that they give me. Let's see here, because that's what I really need. Oof, it was the whole dang thing. Is it okay? Nope. Just took the battery and the thing off. There we go. Still works, but yipes. Means I could probably replace the battery. I wondered about doing that, but now I know. Drop the whole thing and you'll see. So let's see here. So I have a lot of bristle brush things here. These types of deals. I'm nervous about using them. I don't really love it because I don't want to scratch stuff, and that only makes it your things harder. So these are some sort, I'm not even sure what you do with these, but they're just metal. They've got to be some sort of ream, but got a lot of these. Now the bristles will compress. You just don't want them to get inside. I've got so much of these over the years in paint kits that I've gotten from gifts. Okay, well, one of these will do it. Let's try this one. It's pretty fine. Get a little bit wet and just go in delicately. That does it. Boy, it's hard to spin though. Okay, well, let's hope that got it out. Wow, I can see paint in there. It cleared stuff out. Wow. What'd I do with the Q-tip? Here. Yeah, I don't know. I'm rarely use those. I usually just will push a tissue through it, like the napkin or whatever, and it will do a good job for me, but I'm definitely going to run some water through here. But that seemed to clean it in there. You can't really tell, but there's a little hole at the back of the chamber that is where the needle comes through. It seems like it did a good job. So let me squirt a little bit of water through it before I run anything. I don't want to have it go through while the nozzles are in there. And I'm going to push the needle in on the back end to clog it so that plug it so it doesn't come through. I mean, I'll actually just do the whole thing. The other nice thing about the new brushes, airbrushes from Harder Steenbeck, they actually have like a tapered hole that guides your needle in so that you won't bump into anything on the end of it. You know, like mess your needle up. And it works pretty good. It seems like it works pretty good. I don't know that it's on the one I have. Let me look. I watched the videos of all of them as they were doing them. They were pretty great. That seems good. Wow, that's interesting. So there was a mess right there. That's kind of a bummer. But I'm not sure what that's probably the way to do it, and just not be afraid of the tool. I do wish there was, I thought there was, and it may be in something, it might be in something in here, a finer one that would go in, and I would never use these metal ones on here. I don't know where they came from, but they could have been part of a kit that I got. So one of the airbrushes I bought, which is one that Barbados Rex recommended, which was like $30 some, you know, it was pretty inexpensive. And I was like, you know, I'm always like checking this stuff out to share with people watching the stream. And I bought that one, and it's nice. It works good. Goodness gracious, what is the right nozzle? Oh, that's the right one. So when you're putting it in, you press it down to make sure that it fits. And you're not going to catch it. Looks like I can clean the tip a little bit better, but I'm going to run some water through it anyway. Let's get the thingy on here. I'll put that in my lap. Sounds a little more rattly, so I need to look into that. Seems to atomize it fine. So that's probably okay. I need to clean my hands. Wow. Is it still? Yeah, the whole thing is like kind of loose now. So they have some sort of glue on here. Did I just mess it up? Nope. But yeah, it's the drop. It's not that great. I got to glue it with something, probably a little bit of epoxy. Okay, let's see, what time is it? I do need to run pretty soon, if not now. Not quite yet. Hold on, I'm going to go get something real quick. Be right back. I needn't clean that cup either. Okay, let's see here. One more napkin. Do that final bit of cleaning. I am disappointed though that I dropped that compressor. I usually do not have, I want to actually make a little spot for it that I can mount it so it's sitting next to me, but I need to glue all that down. It's funny that, so there, you know, not great. Not a great testament to how the quality of it, but it does a decent job, and I could probably fix it. Okay. Okay, what else did I not clean? Did not clean the cup. Now it's not really critical that you clean it out, but I mean, you do want to clean it. You don't want any dry paint, but I'm trying to, I want to make sure that you don't get any chunks inside the, because it clogs it up. It's, you know, you see the tiny little hole that is the nozzle. It has to be free-flowing paint, and any kind of solid matter going in there is going to be a problem. Now, to me, this cup is pretty fantastic. It's so highly polished. I don't know if anybody else does that, and I'm sad that they don't do it on all of them, but I mean, it's probably a bit of effort to make sure that works. But I think we got it. Now I got to figure out the compressor. That's pretty bad. I mean, it still works, but it's rattling. Okay. Well, that'll be my job here for the next, probably tomorrow I'll do it. See if I can, I have epoxy, I can probably stick it back together, but wow, that's funny. And it sounded like it did something too. I'm like, uh-oh. What is that? It feels like there's some sort of goo on here. It's like, oh, hey, guess what? You've just released something out of this darn thing. Anyway, let me cut back to me. Well, thanks for joining me today, and thanks for chatting. I very wonder about this. I wonder if it's coming loose here too. Actually, I could, well, I do have it in the airbrush. Let me just do it again. So it's like the bottom. This is definitely loose, and you can hear it. That's why it's rattling. Definitely needs to be glued. So if you get one of these, take care of it. I mean, here's the deal. A good compressor is not too expensive either. You can, to me, this is like a great way to get started and see if it's something that you want to do. And, you know, because there's some expense in all this. It's not quick connect here, okay. Oh, I know. I'm trying to do it the wrong way here. I need to take off the connector here. So it has like it came with everything you need. It came with the hose and the connects, and I think it even had the quick connect, that quick disconnect is what they call it, stuff on the airbrush. And they give you a couple of them. But they're all pretty much, yeah, look at this, it's crazy. I don't want to mess it up either, like touching any of this stuff. You can see somebody's fingerprint when putting this together. Okay, well, let's get that figured out. I was wondering about this bottom end too, but now I know I can get in here and do I don't want to like tighten it up so much that it will prevent from potentially replacing the battery. Although you know, doing that stuff and soldering that, I don't know. That may not be something I would do anyway. Looks like it's super glue. I have super glue. Let's just put some on and do it. Let's do the top one first, though. It doesn't seem to be as loose as the rest. I'm not making a good case for this. I do like it though. I wish it wasn't quite as, it's funny because I bought it and then I saw Ninjon covered it. The exact same one, although it might not have been red. The brand has changed. So since I bought this on Amazon, if you go back and look at my previous orders, it's a different brand. It looks like, you know, I mean, it's all like, I think manufactured by a couple companies, you know, and they're all borrowing from each other. It's crazy in there. Eek, getting all over the place. not like I need to see through that window. But I'm gonna let that dry and see if that quiets it up, and then I'll do the other piece as well. It dries pretty darn fast too, the super glue. So okay, well there's the brushes, the brushes. These are cool. That actually did a good job for me. But that is like the smallest one. I could have sworn I had a tinier one. Although this looks like it's smaller. So I probably could have done that one as well. It didn't distort the bristles though, so it seems okay. I'm giving up on buying nice super glues because the bottles dry up so fast. So now I'm buying just smaller. And these are actually too big for me. Okay, so yeah, there it is. I think it's back on there. It feels pretty solid. Now I need to do the top part. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay. That's this piece here is like a little loose now. Boy, that's crazy. You got to be careful. Don't let it fall like I did. So if I can maybe with a toothpick put enough in there to just hold that in place. The nice thing about super glue is you can break the bond. And that's all you're going to be able to do here anyway because it's plastic to metal as far as getting it to adhere to each other. Let's see here. Man, I'm just dropping everything today. Well, if I could shove it underneath there, I will. So another toothpick. Let's do this. So you have to poke this to actually get it to open up. And I'm using more liquid. I do like the gel ones, but I find more often than not I need the more liquid super glues. I wish I had a way to keep that upright. So the one thing you're not seeing this on camera anyway. One thing I did, I actually had, when I first got it, the bottom was kind of loose. Hey, that's the call my mom thing. And I will do that in a minute. Okay, well, that's enough. I guess you see a little bit of craziness. See my clumsiness, which is always the case. You have a great weekend. I will be back on Tuesday, most likely. I have a, when is that meeting? I think it's, let me look. We do have a meeting. I think it's Tuesday. So I'm not sure whether I'll be streaming or not. I hope to. Maybe I'll stream later. But you have a great weekend and try to keep warm if it's cold where you're at, and hope to get to see you guys again next week. Let's see if we can raid somebody on Twitch for the folks that are here on Twitch. Don't know if there's many. It might be, Bonzinator might be running. She is, and she is playing 52 Realms, so let's join her. I think she's been going for 2.5 hours though. But if you want to join in on that raid, go ahead and click on through if you're on Twitch actually, and say hello for me, and everybody else have a great weekend as well. and we're going to raid. Take care, everybody. Have a great one. Bye-bye. Bye, YouTube people. Take care.